Good evening. I would like to call to order this 1,172nd regular meeting of the Board of Library Trustees. We have trustees present here, as well as a trustee at a hotel listed on the agenda in Taipei, Taiwan. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Butler?
Here.
Thank you. Trustee Easton?
Here.
Trustee Park? Trustee Uno?
Here.
Trustee Wong?
Here.
Madam President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. At this point, do you want me to ask Trustee Butler about his posting and if he's in a public place now or elsewhere in the meeting?
We do it now.
Okay. All right. So Trustee Butler, can you tell us, did you post the agenda for the meeting in a public space?
Yes, I posted the agenda 24 hours before now in the public space near where I'm meeting.
Okay. And are you currently in a public space?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we will have the salute to the flag. All rise. Place your, going back in elementary school. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I move we adopt the agenda.
Okay, it sounds like,
I think we both.
You could take it.
okay. I have a motion from Trustee Wong to adopt the agenda for this evening. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Do we have our additional trustee online?
We do believe that Trustee Park has joined us via the iPhone from
Okay.
where he is. I'm not 100% sure if he's been able to speak, but he will at least be listening in.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So I should mark him as present?
Unconfirmed?
Unconfirmed at this moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trustee Uno, Trustee Park, if you're listening and you can unmute yourself on your iPhone, you could just let us know at any time if you're present. But
Okay.
in absence of
we'll
that, we
just
can move along.
proceed. We'll find out at some point. So next are the president's remarks, that's me, and board member comments. So I will start with all PBLD library branches will be closed on Friday, July 4th in observance of Independence Day. A reminder that the July 17th Board of Library Trustees meeting will be held at the Miralles Library at 6 p.m. Two special closed session board meetings regarding the director's performance review were held on June 11th and June 19th. No actions were taken. The deadline to submit any expense reimbursement forms with receipts is June 14th. Please complete those.
June 14th?
24th. So make sure you get those in by June 24th. And forward those documents to Executive Assistant Bender. If you need assistance, please contact her. I would like to acknowledge that today is a federal holiday. It is Juneteenth, first recognized federally in 2021. There's a lot of information out there for people to educate themselves if they don't understand the significance of Juneteenth. And so I encourage people to look it up and so that they can understand it. And in all transparency, I will say, if I had recognized that our meeting was going to be held on Juneteenth, I would have proposed that we meet on a different date. So, and that's all I had to say about that. Okay, so do we have any communications or, oh, I'm sorry. Did any other board members have anything to say? Okay, great, thank you. Do we have any communications and comments from the public concerning items that are not on our agenda tonight?
No, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. Next is the consent calendar. So can I have a motion to approve what's on the calendar, or are there any things that people want to remove and further discuss?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Okay, I have a motion from trustee Park,
No, Easton.
Easton. I don't know why that always happens. To approve the consent calendar. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? I'm also an aye. So now we are up to item 9, upcoming Board of Library Trustee Conferences and Events. Director Addington.
Thank you, Madam President. There's just one that we wanted to, again, bring to the attention of the board this evening, and that's the CSDA Annual Conference and Exhibitor Showcase. It will be held in Monterey, California, from August 25th to the 28th. It is open now for registration. We're still in the early bird, so if you're interested, please let either myself or Executive Assistant Vendor know. There's a lot of information online already about the speakers and the calendar and who's going to be there. So if you're interested, do just let us know.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we are up to our first item on our actionable agenda tonight, the final reading of the 2025-2026 budget and projected 2026-2027 budget from Finance Manager Lou.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have on the screen the budget summary. Can everyone see that? Okay, so
Yeah, can you make it bigger, Laz?
yes.
We have to zoom as well a little bit.
Maybe a little bit more, Will?
A little more. Okay, let me zoom in this way. Whoops.
That's
It-
better. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so our total revenue for fiscal 25-26 is 13.5 million, and total expenditures is 13.6 million. And that results in a net shortage of $93,000. Last month in the first reading, we went through all the slides in detail. Some of the major items that changed between the first reading and the final reading is summarized here in my roll forward. The net shortage at the first reading was 371,000 shortage. In the last month, I made some revenue and expense adjustments. On the revenue side, secured property tax revenue is lower by 54,000 due to the estimate coming down from 4.5 to 4. On the expense side, there's a few things impacting that. The first of all is a lower CalPERS ADP. I lowered that by approximately 250,000 due to the market being pretty strong and CalPERS fund assets, staying at a pretty healthy level with a week to go in the fiscal year. The other couple of items are related to fixed assets. There are lower IT projects costs of 258,000 in next fiscal year. And if you remember, the board approved the 2 projects, the cost of the firewall and switches to be incurred in the current fiscal year. So That cost will show up in this fiscal year, and as a result, next fiscal year will be lower by 258,000. On the negative side, there will be higher facilities costs related to the staff area redo. 140,000 of that was originally budgeted for this current fiscal year, but it will slip into next fiscal year. So I moved that to next fiscal year. There's a few other smaller items, but in all, the net change is 278,000 compared to the first reading, resulting in a net shortage of 93,000. And let me go back to this slide here. Salary and related is at 68% of the total expenditures for next fiscal year. Going to the next slide just really quickly. This shows the fund balances for next year and the year after. Those are understated due to the fact that the current fiscal year, there's a good amount of expenditures that will slip into next year. So it's money that we didn't spend in the green column, and that will increase our reserves for emergency reserves to pretty much the full amount, the next couple of years. And lastly, this is the slide that shows the general fund and pension fund revenues, expenditures, and fund balances. And we continue to be in pretty good shape. And I will open it up to any questions.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions? So we have, gotten the updates prior to tonight.
Right.
So on the call, do we have any questions? No. Okay. All right, so the next step is you need from us
To adopt
to adopt. Okay,
the budget is presented.
okay. So do I have a motion to adopt the budget, the 2025-2026 budget as presented?
I move
I'll make that motion.
final reading of the
Sorry,
budget.
go ahead.
Let's have Jonathan have it.
Okay.
You've had a lot
Yeah.
tonight. Okay. So we have a motion from Vice President Butler to approve the Board of Library Trustees adopts the 2025-2026 budget as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries, or passes, excuse me. All right, so let's go back to our next item on the agenda. I'm kind of jumping between windows, so just a moment. Okay, so we are now on item 11, consideration of adoption of resolution number 2025-2, adopting a new memorandum of understanding between the Service Employees International Union, Local 721, and the Palos Verdes Library District. Director Addington.
Thank you very much, Madam President. So as you'll see in the memo that's included in your packet, the Palos Verdes Library District staff has been working for the past several months with SEIU 721, that's our local union, and on-site union stewards to renegotiate or to negotiate a new contract. Our current contract with SEIU expires on June 30th, so we're just a couple of weeks away from that. We have been negotiating, very well for the last several months. We ultimately concluded our negotiations on June 10th, and subject to the ratification of the new MOU by PVLD SEIU members. The SEIU members held, at the time of this memo, it had not been done yet, so they held their ratification vote on June 16th, and it was passed by the union. So when we first got the very first proposal from the union, we had a special meeting with the board. We went over all the various different things that the union was asking for. We got some feedback from the board, and we were given basic financial parameters. I'm very happy to say that we are well within those financial parameters, and the key elements of this new MOU include here the bullet points, but I'll go through them very briefly. It is a 3-year agreement, which has been standard for the last several negotiations. So it'll go from July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2028. The annual salary increases across the salary range are 2.75 for the 25-26 year, a 2.5 in the 26-27 year, and a 2.5 in the 27-28 year. And then these, and the rest of these are various little things that we really brought to the table and went back and forth with the union stewards and the union negotiator, and ultimately kind of created a full comprehensive packet, a package of benefits and salaries that ultimately met the financial parameters that the board gave us. So we did increase the hourly passport differential by 10 cents and the monthly differential by $10. We agreed to one additional paid holiday, and the choice was to have it be Veterans Day, so we will be closed going forward on Veterans Day. We added a new reimbursement of $175 every 24 months for the purchase of safety footwear for the maintenance staff. There's a variety of different shoes and boots that fit under this, so they'll be able to choose what works best for them and purchase those and get a reimbursement. We did increase the personal holiday time by 8 hours for full-time employees and by 4 hours for part-time. And we increased the deferred compensation match. It was $300 a year, and we upped that to $600 a year. I'm going to skip this one for just a minute because I want to come back to the longevity bonus. Well, no, I won't. In consultation with CalPERS and the union, this actually is not a longevity bonus, but it is longevity pay. So it will not start in year 1 of the contract. It won't begin until year 2. And then there's a schedule you'll see in the MOU that was attached to this that dictates a certain amount of money for part-timers and full-timers in tiers from 10, it all starts at 10 years, from 10 to 14 years, 15 to 19 years, 20 to 24 years, and then 25 years plus. The money will be issued in the employees' paychecks, so they'll get a longevity pay as soon as they qualify and then for their time here. We did increase the continuing education reimbursement for full-time employees by $150. That brought it from $500 to $650. And we added the part-timers to this. They've never been awarded the opportunity to get continuing education monies. So we added the part-timers to this at a $500 annual per person. We updated some of the leave language in bereavement and sick leave. This is not necessarily as per legal, but really the makeup of blended and mixed families these days. And so now we allow for, stepbrothers and stepsisters, grandparents, even a step-grandparent, because we appreciate that if your spouse's grandmother dies, you might want an opportunity to go to that funeral. So we just expanded that a little bit to again, acknowledge the blending of families and the appreciation that people have for multi-generational families and the opportunity to take a bereavement day to go and participate in that. And then one of the things that the Sunday librarians wanted was the opportunity to either get pay or perhaps take those hours in personal holiday time, one or the other. And so we did allow them the opportunity to take whichever one they wanted for those hours worked on Sundays. Attached, you see the completed MOU, updating everything that we did. Many of the articles were not touched. We didn't need to do anything about management rights or joint labor management or personnel files, things like that. We just didn't have anything to do with. So when it was all said and done, I think, the union was happy with it. As I said, they did ratify it. We felt, and we worked very carefully to price out what we felt we could afford and how far we could push it before it was making us uncomfortable. And again, I'm very happy to say that we stayed within the parameters that the board gave us. And we think we ultimately came up with a good MOU, one that works well for PBLD, and yet ensures, our financial stability and sustainability going forward, but also gives a little bit of something to the staff. One of the things that the union was very mindful of, and we embraced that, was trying to get something in there for part-time employees who don't always qualify for, some of the benefits that PBLD has. So to incorporate them in some ways, and, continuing education where it allows them the opportunity to, get a little something to go to library school or something like that. So we're happy to take any questions. Our negotiation team included Deputy Director Roy, so I think between the two of us, we're happy to answer any questions about it, but we are putting it to the board for approval. And I'll end there.
So I have a question about the longevity bonus strikeout pay. So what was the significance of CalPERS?
There was, we went back and forth with the union about making this either a PERSable or a bonus. In order to make it a bonus, it had to meet these very, very specific CalPERS requirements, which ultimately it did not. It had to require merit opportunities. There was a great deal in there. So we wanted to make sure that that it was worded in such a way, it is a PERSable amount.
Okay.
That is something that the union was very, very keen on. We understand why. Everybody ultimately wants their salary to go up a little bit. We did have a very robust conversation and went back and forth on this particular article quite a bit. But we also wanted to make sure that the district was within guidelines. So the wording was actually approved by CalPERS so that we knew that we were doing it correctly.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I just have one question on page, on the part-time hourly employees. There's a sentence that's stricken, the use of personal holiday pay shall be governed by Article 17 of this agreement. Was this done after?
Apologies, I think we just missed that
Okay.
particular strikeout.
Okay. Because, I know if it's something that's already been signed, usually you have a counter signature there,
Right.
or, so,
I believe we have a completely clean copy.
oh, I see. It was just included in
But I
here.
think
I see.
unfortunately, this one sentence was not removed at the
I
time that
see.
we put it in here.
Okay, but it
But-
was complete, it was signed by them
It
without,
actually hasn't been signed by anybody yet. We're going to start the signatures today, and I
I
reached
see.
out to the SEIU negotiator and our local on-site stewards, and they'll start signatures tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments? Okay. All right, so at this point, we are looking for, and let me get back to that action so I can address it correctly. All right, so the recommended action is the Board of Library Trustees hereby adopts Resolution 2025-02, a resolution of the Board of Library Trustees of the Palos Verdes Library District of Los Angeles County, adopting a new memorandum of understanding between the Service Employees International Union Local 721 and the Palos Verdes Library District. So can I have a motion?
I move to adopt such resolution.
Okay, I have a motion to adopt the resolution as presented. All in favor, from trustee Quan Easton. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. So next, we are consideration, item 12, consideration of adoption of resolution number 2025-03, compensation and benefits for non-represented confidential and management employees. Director Addington.
Thank you very much, Madam President. So at PVLD, there is one union that covers a majority of the staff. However, there are 9 employees who are considered non-represented classified employees. It has been the practice of the library district for many, many years to award the non-represented employees the same benefits, the same allowances, the same holidays that were negotiated for the union employees. The union does not negotiate for these employees. It is possible for us to treat them differently. However, just as a matter of course, we have always treated them the same. So this resolution simply allows us to give those 9 employees the same benefits that the represented employees get. Again, happy to take any questions. It's been something that we've done for 50 years.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments?
Do we take questions from the audience?
We do.
We don't take questions from the audience at this point.
No. That's okay. All right, so no questions or comments? All right, so the recommended action is the Board of Library Trustees hereby adopts resolution number 2025-03, a resolution of the Board of Library Trustees of the Palos Verdes Library District of Los Angeles County, adopting compensation and benefits for non-represented confidential and management employees. Can I have a motion?
I move to adopt.
Okay, we have a motion from trustee or Secretary Wong to adopt the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. So now we are on item 13, consideration of adoption of resolution number 2025-4, adopting the salary range schedules for all positions for fiscal years 2025, 2026, 2026, 2027, and 2027, 2028. Finance Manager Lou.
Thank you. In the packet, you'll see a memo and the 42 pages of exhibits related to the pay schedule, pay range and steps within those ranges. So you'll see the 3 years of the next 3 years for both PERS and non-PERS members, reflecting the rates for the MOU, 2.75% for fiscal 25-26 and 2.5% for 26-27 and 27-28. And the recommended action is to adopt resolution number 2025-04 to adopt the salary range schedules for all positions for fiscal years 25-26, 26-27, and 27-28.
Okay. Do I have any questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion for the action as listed? Okay, I'm not hearing a,
I move to adopt the motion as listed.
okay, thank you. All right, I have a motion from trustee Quan Easton to adopt the motion as listed. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So how are we handling our additional trustee? Do we,
Unfortunately, I don't believe that he
He's-
is even with us anymore.
okay,
We do have
and I'm sorry,
phone listening
okay.
in the attendees section.
And I should have asked this question after I said motion carries. So the motion passes,
It still passes.
yeah. I just wanted to make sure, you know, if he's actually on and if we are registering him as a,
I don't believe he's really.
okay,
been-
so we're not counting him. So it's a unanimous 4.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. I was checking to see if there were any messages or
Yeah,
anything, but
okay,
he might be listening in.
okay. All right, next we are on to item 14, consideration of adoption of resolution number 2025-05, adopting a pay scale for all positions for fiscal year 2025-2026, Finance Manager Lou.
Thank you. The memo is included in the packet, and in accordance with the California Code of Regulations, public agencies are required to adopt and make publicly available a pay schedule identifying the position, title, and pay rate for every employee position. In non-MOU years, this is typically in the consent calendar, but given the fact that, you know, the MOU needed to be approved first, it made logical sense to have this after that. And so this is a one-page pay schedule that needs to be posted to our website. And this reflects the 2.75% increase in salary for next fiscal year. And the recommended action would be to adopt resolution 2025-05. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any questions or comments? Okay, if not, can I have a motion?
I will make that motion to adopt adopt resolution 2025-05.
Okay, so I have a motion from Vice President Butler to accept the motion or the proposal as submitted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, did I hear you, Jonathan?
Yes, aye.
Oh, okay, thank you. And no opposed, so the motion carries or passes. I think I'm reverting to my high school days where the motion carries. All right. So next is the district director's compensation, and that would be led by me. So just a moment.
I'm also happy to offer my own insight on this at any time if you'd like.
Yes, if you want to start it.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to thank the board for the time and attention that they gave to my personnel review. I really appreciate that feedback. As we all know, we can do a personnel review privately. That's a confidential matter. The discussion about my compensation, however, must be done publicly. It must be done in an open meeting where anybody could come and listen and provide feedback. Last year, maybe 2 years ago, to be honest, I'm not quite sure now.
Last year.
Last year, the board made the decision to put the director on a salary range. Prior to that, my salary was always a little bit of an unknown. It was whatever the board chose, whatever they felt was appropriate. Sometimes it was in alignment with the staff, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was less, sometimes it was more. It really depended. But last year, they did put the director on a salary range, and that was range 82. And based on my salary at that time, I was at a step 7. I would respectfully ask the board if I could move to a step 8. That's it. That's pretty much my only request.
Okay, thank you. So yes, last year we did place the director on the scale or the range,
Salary
set
range.
range, so that we would be more consistent in how we were awarding the compensation change in relation to the performance. And as part of that, if the director fell within a certain range in terms of her performance, she is eligible to receive the next step in her compensation. And so, really that's the question that's before us, if we are going to approve that next step on the scale or the range. So, do I have any comments or questions about?
Could you remind us and the public what her current salary is according to that scale?
I personally do not know.
I have it.
Oh, okay, because I was going to ask Will to tell us.
In the 24-25 salary schedule, a range 82, step 7, is 216,000. A range 82, step 8 is 222,606. I don't, apologies, I don't have the current one. Can you look that one up real quick?
Yes, so this
It's
is
in the
our
42
packet.
pages.
Yeah, it's in the.
Yeah, it's in the, I'm
attached.
looking at that now.
Well,
but
that's
I'm-
why I was going to say, is Will still available?
It's
But
the
if Ryan,
PERS
It's the PERS
schedule
schedule.
for 2025, 2026, range
Step-
82.
Step 8.
Step 8, and I'm on that page, which is 163 in the PDF document. Step 8, range 82 is 228, 728, 16.
But you're currently at step 7,
Right.
and that is how much?
Right now, in the 24-25 year, well, again, I think we'd have to go, I'm looking at the
Yes.
24-25 year.
So we have the updated tables that we just approved a few agenda items ago. So in that updated table, range 82, step 7 is 222, 066, 17.
Okay.
There is a 3% increase between each step.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. All right. Well, can I have a motion for what the board would like to do?
With regard to the district director's contract,
For compensation,
compensation,
just compensation first.
okay, compensation. I move that we advance Director Addington, shall we say one step or two? Okay,
One.
one step.
Because already a big jump. Okay, so I have a motion from Secretary Wong that we advance Director Addington from range 82, step 7 to range 82, step 8. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I,
Okay. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
It would be
July 1?
July 1.
yes,
Yeah, that's when the contract renews.
yes. Effective July 1. Oh, we amend, so I think someone needs to make an amendment.
Amend the motion to indicate commencement July 1, 2025.
Okay. So we have an amendment to commence the increase effective July 1, 2025. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I,
Okay, thank you. Motion passes, or amendment passes. Okay. So let me go back again. We don't usually have so much jumping around. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to manage two windows to see the agenda and the packet. All right, so now we are on item 16, District Director's Contract, President Uno. Okay, and so we have a memo that Director Addington's current contract is set to expire on June 30th, 2025. Her current contract had a term of 3 years and was last reviewed in August 2022. The Board of Library Trustees is being asked to consider an extension of the director's contract and to update the compensation and duration. So the current contract is listed or included here for review. Did anyone have any questions or items that they wanted to consider for updating? And so we do have comments from Director Addington.
Again, thank you very much, Madam President. I mentioned this 3 years ago. I'd like to bring it up again. I think it might be a good idea to move the director's contract away from the MOU, only because there's a lot going on at the same time. One of the things that the board has talked about at length, and I think it's a worthwhile conversation, is to negotiate with the director other opportunities for compensation outside of just straight salary. Maybe there's a medical thing, maybe there's a 457, maybe there's some other option. But when we combine it with the end of the year, with the budget and an MOU, it almost becomes so burdensome to schedule and get all of those things going on at the same time that it never happened. So I think it would behoove the district to move the director's contract renewal, where you could really get into the nitty-gritty of like, what other opportunities are there besides straight compensation? And and really have a conversation about that. So I would like to suggest either doing a 1 or 2-year contract and not a 3-year. I know it brings the contract back up earlier, but I think it gives an opportunity for the board to create an ad hoc and think about how to compensate the director. And while you have a salary structure, there are other things that you could do, but that takes intention. And when you've got all these things going on at the same time, there ends up not being a great deal of time to give to it. So I don't think it's reasonable to wait until after another MOU. So it would just, again, it's at the board's discretion, but I would suggest either a 1 or 2-year contract so that you can have that discussion.
So I'm going to say, given the fact that, as you pointed out, last year, we established the range, and we weren't doing a lot of other things related to compensation. So it was an off year. We were able to make that decision. I personally am comfortable with extending the contract by a year, and within that time, establishing a committee to have some conversations about what other compensations we can consider.
So I've been on this board of trustees for a while, and it's kind of interesting because MOUs didn't necessarily always, they weren't always 3 years. I think there was a period of
No,
time.
we've had like 5.
Yeah.
I think we once had a 6.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 5 years, 6 years.
Not
So,
anymore.
and of course, the next thing I was going to say is that director contracts also were not systematically 3 years. We have 7 years, we had like,
yeah.
So how we came into this situation where MOU contract year and director contract renewal year happened to sync up and fall in the same year, dumb luck. I guess my real question is to President Uno is, my thought was a 2-year contract. So the real question is if you're proposing a 1-year contract, does that mean that you are interested in immediately getting into the nitty-gritty and looking at these other forms of compensation that may not necessarily be financial?
I think it is a good time to start thinking about it, because like even tonight, looking at the compensation jump was big. And all of that is personable. So,
I
the
understand.
further we delay it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, because the thing is, in my mind, in terms of dollars absolute, it's a big jump. In terms of percentage, it's about 2-3%. So if you're taking a look at percentage, it's in line with this, what the staff got in terms
Right.
of increase, but
Right.
you're basically looking at it more from a dollar absolute
Right.
as opposed to, percentage. So, yeah, I mean, if you want to go ahead and start looking immediately at the subject, then I don't have a problem with a 1-year contract. But
Would it be an extension, of this current contract for another year? Or is it we renewing? And
Well, this contract, I think the two big things in it is, number one, what is the compensation, which we already approved?
Right.
And then, so the next element is the duration, because we're not changing any of her responsibilities. So, yeah, within the contract, the only two modifications are, when does the next contract begin, expire? And of course, we already approved the comp.
Right.
I see.
You could do an extension. I mean,
Well, that was the way it was,
Nothing-
that was the way it was written
Yeah.
by HR
Right.
manager, that we consider an extension of the contract.
Yeah, and also, by the way, I mean, let's just go ahead and say this. Let's say for a moment we approved a 3-year contract. There's nothing that says that we can't, in the interim, say, hey, we came up with a new contract that basically cancels out the remainder of an existing contract.
That's true, but someone would have to keep it on their radar and make sure that it,
Yeah,
that-
which
that-
basically, the only thing about having a short expiration is that it just keeps people focused that we're going to actually look at the forms of compensation other than cash.
Right,
Yeah, you can revisit the director's contract at any time.
right.
Anytime. Even on the salary range, it's still an at-will position.
Right, exactly.
So
Yeah.
you can do it. and you can do
I
anything.
think President Uno's suggestion of a year seems, practically speaking, more efficient because we're in this mindset right now. And I think if we push it out to 2 years, it might be, it's going to take some time to catch up on what we did this year. So,
Well, my thought was is that you go ahead and do a 2-year contract. So let's say for a moment, if you take a look at, if we take a look at our past 12 months, take a look at the difficulties in getting all the trustees together in one spot to go ahead and discuss things. Also taking into, account that perhaps some of the ideas might have to have Will, Finance Director Liu, do some, do some simulations to go ahead and see what that might look like. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It keeps you on focus. What I'm thinking is that if you are focused on task, there's nothing to say, oh, okay, there is 12 months remaining on contract, but we basically focus on task. We got it done, so let's go ahead and void out the existing contract 1 year early and then supersede with a new contract. Or if, for example, just because of this, that, or the other thing, let's say that Will could not come up with his projection and trustees went on vacation. And so we went into month 3 of the second year, but then we still got it done. We could still go ahead and come up with a new contract.
So are you proposing a 2-year contract? And at the same time, we are working on looking at other ways to provide compensation.
Yeah, because what I'm really trying to say here is that we're already halfway through June. I mean, 2025 has moved very, very quickly. I think that for you to go and say, we're going to go ahead and, because we're all fired up, let's go ahead and look at this and we're going to get it in 12 months. I think that you'll probably get it done in maybe 13, 14 months, but not 12.
I mean, I completely understand what you're saying, that, if 12 is a little tight, there's that part of you that wants to say, oh, of course we can do it. But there's the holidays, there's a lot of things that come into play. Maybe it's 15 months.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always do a 15-month contract, but I understand what Trustee Wong's saying. You could do a 2-year with the understanding that the goal is to get it accomplished in 12 months.
Right.
But to give yourself a little leeway,
That's a lot of leeway.
you could say 15 months.
Well, I'm just.
Or say 12.
up to 2 years.
What I'm really saying here is, again, if we come up with a compensation idea that is amicable towards everybody, we can simply replace and void out the remaining unused portion of the contract. That's all I'm saying. But at least we don't get caught, flat-footed in case, despite our best intentions, we don't get everything done in
Well,
12 months.
This is looking into the future a lot, but there are elections coming up at the end of 2026 as well. And so there's continuity issues as well to consider, I think.
you make a good point, and very
So-
much a reason to go with 1 year.
Or a year and a half. I mean, that would bring us to the end of 2026. I think that's reasonable, and it seems like a good compromise.
So you're proposing a year and a half contract?
I mean, that would take us
Or
to, is that 18 months?
Or
It's
a
18 months, right?
two-year contract and a year and a half to work out?
Well, this was an extension, right? So it would be extended for a year and a half. Is that what we're saying? I think that's
I
the
look
way
at it
it's
as a
phrased.
renewal.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, as I said, it was just the wording that was
Yeah.
used here, extension in the.
So
the
it's a
memo.
renewal then, with new dates, the duration, the term as set forth here.
I mean, if we're, I would just go with the 2-year then, with a plan that
Yeah.
we're working on, looking at alternative compensation, or however that is framed.
Yeah. You might surprise yourself and get it done in 9 months.
I'm comfortable with that. I think that's, gives plenty of time.
Okay. So someone give me a motion that covers those.
I move that we renew the director's or extend the director's contract for 24 months at the compensation approved.
Okay, but what about the other portion? Or are we doing this as two separate motions?
2 separate motions.
Okay.
Is that agendized, that second part? Are we just, this is a resolution just to approve?
We have to, I mean,
I don't think it needs to be specifically agendized. It's a
Okay.
part of
The discussion
discussion.
compensation.
Contract and update to compensation. Okay. So it's an extension of the director's contract. We're updating compensation to reflect the range 82, step 8. And the duration for 24 months, effective July 1st.
2025.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So we have a motion.
Clarify with.
Well, I moved, so.
Oh,
it's
no,
two.
yeah, but I saw Ryan, so I was,
I just wanted to clarify,
There was
so
any
that would
question?
take it out to June 30th of 2027,
yes,
2 years.
yes.
Okay.
You sound like you were going to say something else. Okay, all right. So we have a motion on the floor from Secretary Wong, and I hope you all heard it. So, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay,
Should I make the second Part B motion?
yes, please.
Okay.
So that motion passes.
Okay. I move that the Board of Trustees, working with the director, look at non-cash forms of compensation so that we might modify her contract within 12 months.
Okay. We have a motion from trustee, or Secretary Wong, which I hope you all captured.
Okay, so I move that the Board of Trustees, working with Director Addington, discuss non-cash forms of compensation so that we might modify her contract within the next 12 months.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Jonathan might be thinking about it.
Jonathan, did you get that one?
Yes, aye, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Motion passes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
All right, so we'll probably have to follow up with,
Yeah, you'll have
'Cause
to
I think-
decide how.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. All right. So consider, excuse me, sorry. Consideration of approval of Liebert Cassidy Whitmore contract renewal, Director Addington.
Thank you very much, Madam President. So in your packet, you have a memo and the new agreement for services from Liebert Cassidy Whitmore. The district receives a yearly renewal from LCW to act as our labor council through a subscription to their South Bay Employment Relations Consortium. So we've been a member of this for several years now. We generally opt for the ERC membership with a basic Liebert Library subscription. It gives us access to ongoing virtual and live trainings, attorneys for consortium calls, a monthly newsletter with legal updates, access to a very large library of human resources documents, and legal representation for any issues that might arise at a predetermined hourly fee. We utilize lawyers from LCW for our MOU contracts, for any employment issues that we have come up. We do utilize the consortium a lot, just to ask like general questions, because once you have the subscription, they don't charge you for those questions until they get really detailed. You can just ask. So we've been very, very happy with LCW. We have had them for a long time, but we've been very pleased with the service that we get. This new contract would be from July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026, so for 1 year, and the fee is $4,355. Staff would recommend and would like to ask the board to approve the South Bay Employment Consortium contract from Liebert Cassidy Whitmore for the 1 year term for an annual fee of $4,355.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to note that we lost our in-room quorum, so
We did,
I think we
so-
need to wait a moment.
We do. Thank you.
I'm going to, since we have a moment.
I was going to say, if anyone else wants to get up and stretch, now is the time.
Should we take a formal 5-minute break?
Yes, we are in a 5-minute recess.
Thank you. Did you get all those?
Evidently inspirational.
We're in a 5-minute recess. Yes. Let's stay.
Yes. Is Jonathan still on the line, or is he taking a break too?
His picture. think I still might get us out before they start making the time announcements. Okay. All right, we are re-adjourning. Excuse me. So we're going back to consideration and approval of Liebert Cassidy Whitmore contract renewal. And Director Addington had given us the background. And so we are now at the point, are there any questions or comments about the contract?
I have a question. What is the current fee?
Right now,
You know?
I would have to look back. I believe it's only maybe a few $100s less. It did go up.
3,800 or something, it
Yeah.
kind of is my memory.
Yeah.
And did they provide you with their rate sheet, their hourly rate sheet? It says it's subject to change and will be provided, where does it say that? It's additional services. LCW will provide additional services. The hourly rate will be, and there's the ranges. LCW reviews its hourly rates on an annual basis and if appropriate in its direction, adjusts them effective July 1. LCW will provide the consortium members with written notification of any adjustments in the ranges. Do you remember getting one last year, and will you follow up with them to see if there will be any changes going forward?
I can certainly follow up with them and see. I know that Human Resources Manager Uden Armstrong was speaking to the LCW rep this week, in fact. And this was the most current contract that they sent us, so I'm hopeful that that the hourly rates that they've listed here are in fact their most current ones. But yes, I will certainly.
It seems like
can ask.
effective July 1st, they changed them or possibly changed
Or
them.
they could, yeah.
Or they could,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion?
I move to adopt the LCW contract for July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026, for a fee of $43.55.
Okay, thank you. So I have a motion from trustee Quan Easton to accept the recommended action. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Here we go. Jonathan? Can you hear us? Because I saw him come in and then he fell out and then he came back in.
He's on the screen.
I know, but he's
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
responding.
but he's on mute.
But I'm not sure if he can hear us because he's not responding.
I can check with Will to make sure he can hear.
Oh, he said, I'm not hearing anything, but looks like you're not muted.
I can hear.
You
Okay,
can
great,
hear?
thank you.
So Will can hear. It's something on Jonathan's side.
Is there anything that we can do over there? Did anything change?
Not, if Will can hear us, we're all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something when he fell out and then came back in.
Anything?
Might check
lost
the
his-
audio
his-
selections on the computer.
Yeah, I think that Laz would have to go ahead to the chat section and say, maybe he needs
I'm
to,
chatting with him right
Oh,
now.
looks like he's coming in.
oh, he's off mute now.
Can you hear us, Jonathan?
No, he's back on mute.
Well, so far I have 3.
I
think we might have to. Can you hear us now, Jonathan?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you happen to hear that last motion?
No, I haven't heard anything since the break.
Okay, would you,
Just count as abstention.
Okay, so we have a motion from trustee Quan Easton to accept the recommendation of the Board of Library Trustees approves the South Bay Employment, South Bay Employment,
LCW.
LCW. Well, it first says South Bay
Cons-
Employment Consortium contract from LCW from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026 for the annual fee of $4,355. And so the rest of us have already voted in favor. We were just waiting for you.
Yes, aye.
Okay, thank you. So the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, so next is item 18, consideration of going dark in August for Board of Library Trustees meeting, Director Addington.
thank you. There's no memo in your packet about this. This is a verbal presentation. It's a little bit of a holdover from a couple of meetings. But we wanted to see, again, if the board was prepared or interested in potentially going dark in August. We did talk about going dark in July. However, we've actually, several items have come up for discussion in July. One is the joint agreement between the Friends of the Library and the Library District. We are at a point now, Deputy Director Roy and I have been working on that, and then I've been working individually with President Paul from the Friends on that. And we are at a point where we really need some board guidance. So we'd like to put that on the agenda. We also would like to give a strategic planning update, and we have a CSDA election coming up. So these things kind of came up that required a little bit more timing. So we will be having a meeting in July. That said, would the board be interested now in opting to go dark in August? August is another month that we have gone dark. At this point in time, there's nothing on the August agenda. I mean, of course, that could change, as it always could. But if we, as a staff, knew that we were going to go dark, we would take that into our planning and consideration. I also appreciate that the board may not want to make that decision just as yet. But I also know that the board also is looking for, would like to plan their own travels and whatnot. August also kind of starts back school, so I'm not sure if that's a big travel month, but we just wanted to put it out there for board consideration, whether you wanted to decide right now to go dark a month, and if you wanted to claim that as August.
Okay, thank you. All right, so comments, questions, preferences?
I have no preference either which way. It just seems to me, however, that looking forward for the reasons Director Addington has mentioned, Jikere forecast that we're needed in July. At the same time, it seems like there's less need for us in August. So I wouldn't be opposed.
Well, we may see, how things turn out in July if we're needed in August. I personally have already planned my stuff around being present for all of our board meetings. So I could be here in August. So it's up to others to indicate if they want a month off.
It looks like I will be able to attend the July meeting. I have a conflict right now with the meeting in August. So I'm not opposed to going dark in August.
All right, does anyone else want to weigh in? Jonathan?
My personal preference would have been for July, but seeing as that's no longer an option, I think I don't have a preference as to whether we go dark or not in August.
And, let's just be clear, we're not required to go dark, so.
No, not at all. It's an option. If,
Yeah,
you know, we could always wait and just see how things go. But if you wanted to predetermine it,
right.
you could predetermine it now and we would try and work around it if everybody wanted a month off.
I don't need a month off.
You could say
I
no.
may not be here in August.
Okay.
So,
don't
I'm
have to
going to
make a decision
propose
right
that
now.
we just delay the decision to next month,
Okay.
because people's minds may have changed. All right, so next is District Director's Monthly Report.
Thank you very much, Madam President. So in your packet, you'll see my May report. This month, we highlighted Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. And in recognition of that and in collaboration with our Community Voices series, we held a really wonderful AAPI Film Festival here at the Peninsula Center Library. So I talked a little bit more about that. We had a great crowd, and really everybody was really was excited about the opportunity to talk to the filmmakers and to kind of share these stories. I just wanted to call that out and say it was really a wonderful event. Also just wanted to again note that there are several really exciting adult and children's programming coming up this summer. Some of it in collaboration and in partnership with Summer Reading, and some of it just as individual kind of one-offs. And I've again listed the link to the pvld.org events page. If you have an opportunity to check those out, I think there's a lot of really wonderful things coming up. Definitely Summer Reading got a kickoff. Summer at PVLD, a little bit of a preview of my June report, because it actually happened in June and not May, is that we did have our Picnic on the Peninsula event. I'll feature that a little bit more in the June report, but it had probably 300 plus people attending, so we're very excited about that. And it really kicked off the whole summer programming opportunities, of which there's a lot of really exciting stuff. So I do hope you'll check that out. I also wanted to call out that, we talk a lot about Peninsula Center. I know it's one of our it is the biggest building, but under branch manager Eve Wittenmeyer and assistant branch manager Katrina Woodson, the Miralest and Malaga Cove branches are really doing some phenomenal programming as well. Some really wonderful displays, and I just wanted to highlight some of the great things going on at Miralest. Not only did they have some wonderful kind of teen food eating competitions out on the deck, but they showed a movie and had a whole bunch of people, about 60 people, parents and kids all show up for that. And Katrina also envisioned and kind of started an art show there at the Miralest Library. We have our community art show here, and it's wonderful. And the Malaga Cove Library has the gallery, and Eve's always hosting receptions and showings down there. So I thought that Katrina really focusing on the kids, focusing on the teens and the wonderful work that they've been doing, and highlighting that at Miralest was something that really deserved to be called out. So I was very excited about that. I also really appreciated how much the staff are kind of cross-promoting their programs and cross-conducting their programs. You see a lot of adult services librarians working with the branch staff and with the branch librarians and the branch manager. And in the annex, you saw a great collaboration between our young adult librarian, Otto Catalan, and our branch senior page, Dylan Walsh. Dylan was the dungeon master for the D&D program that they did here. And you'll note some of the great feedback that the parents gave him and Otto on that program. In the budget, you'll note that, and we spoke about this in our budget workshop, that the Friends of the Library, the Peninsula Library Friends Foundation are supporting financially a new service that we're going to be offering called Link Plus. And our circulation manager, Ketsi Diaz, has been working really hard to get that off the ground. She went out to the Calabasas Library and visited them and found out how the procedures behind the scenes really work out. So that's a wonderful service that is going to provide millions of more titles to our patrons, including media. So we're excited for that to get going once it all gets up and running. Facilities was working hard, IT's been working hard. We have such a wonderful, dedicated group of people. And of course, that includes our own Deputy Director, Ryan Roy, who, while our Human Resources Manager was out, he took on the role of volunteer coordinator. And just in May alone, welcomed 30 new volunteers to the PVLD volunteer program. So we're at like 200 plus now, aren't we?
Well, it goes to show we are a destination for volunteers, and there is high interest in volunteering in the library, and we certainly appreciate the help and offer as many volunteer positions as we can possibly make available, and we still have a wait list. So, it's a very robust community interest in giving their time, and we really appreciate that and accommodate it as much as we can.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to call him out because, definitely other duties as assigned, right? So thank you very much, Deputy Director Roy. And then I wanted to also mention our Staff Pay It Forward Award winner, previously mentioned in my report, Dylan Walsh, the senior branch page, nominated by his fellow branch worker, Lisa Curran-Schumann. So great job, Dylan. I will leave it at that. There's a lot of wonderful things going on, and it's already been a very busy June, and I'm looking forward to a really exciting summer.
Thank you. All right, so next is a presentation of information from CSDA Legislative Days Conference, and that would be from me. So I attended my second Legislative Days in Sacramento in May. And a month ago, things were very fresh. So we had a legislative update, a lot of information, and unfortunately, that notebook is not in my bag. So, but we did our advocacy role. So we received a briefing, and then after lunch, we all headed over to the legislators' offices. I was with a group that included 2 individuals who were in the group with Trustee Wong and Trustee Butler last year, so they remembered the 2 of you, so you left an impression. We received a stack of packets to take to our offices. We seem to have one of the more packed lists. So they kept telling us, if you have time between your office visits, go to the swing space and we'll be giving some talks on different topics important to special districts. Well, we were never able to go to that swing space because we went from office to office to office. But it was, it's very nice meeting the staffers and the legislators. They were all very engaged and listened to what we had to talk about. And so we were given some legislative priorities to discuss with them. So coincidentally, we were there during Special Districts Week. And so they were looking for sponsorship of that. Then there's an Assembly Bill 259, sunset extension for alternative Brown Act procedures, of which CSDA is, in support of. And what I also learned is they, and I don't know where the bill is, but looking at, and they framed it as modernizing the Brown Act. But one thing that was mentioned was even eliminating one-on-one discussions, because there's some concern that, that is already leading to not having the transparency we want to have. So then, what seemed to be a really big focus, and that may have been because of the people I was with, was the safe and clean fleets.
Yeah.
which is not as big an issue for us, but agencies that have lots of vehicles, it's a huge issue. And that's Senate Bill 496. And then Assembly Bill 339, unworkable restrictions on contracting for services, which CSDA opposes. So those were the things that we discussed during our office visits. Then on the following day, we learned about National Special Districts Association grant services and resources for CSDA members. So as members, we now have access to the National Special Districts Association resources. So if you're interested in those, if you go to the website, they have a link to it. And then there was a panel on why and how to win with grassroots. And so people were talking about how they organized and got engagement from their communities for what they're working on. So, I felt like it was a successful day, 2 days. It was very hot. I had planned to walk over to the California State Library. It was too hot. So I just went back to the hotel after all those office visits. So, yeah, it was a successful trip. All right. And I'm going to assume there are no questions for me. And we are going to move on to Community Relations Committee report from Vice President Butler.
I only have one thing to share and report to the meeting this evening. On Saturday, June 14th, I attended the Palos Verdes Street Fair, which is organized by the Chamber of Commerce. And I just wanted to congratulate Eileen Popp, the executive director, and her board and her staff on organizing a really nice community event. I was there on Saturday afternoon during the sort of ceremonial piece of the event. And while I wasn't there quite in time to actually be on stage with other local officials, I was there and enjoyed kind of the presentation of the different stakeholders that were there, and it was a nice coming together community. So just a little congratulations to them for a successful event.
Thank you. Peninsula Library Friends Foundation report. And again, that's me. Was there a meeting recently? Well, yeah, there's that. But, okay. So I think in lieu of a meeting this past week, the Friends full meeting is on June 26th. And so I'm signed up to attend that meeting. The other item is, I believe all the trustees received a letter concerning a name change and some additional changes of the Friends. I personally haven't seen an announcement outside of the letter, so I'm thinking they're going to be making those announcements at their meeting later this month. And I don't know if Director Addington had anything to add about
No, I
the.
think you're right.
Okay. All right, so next we have Government Relations Liaison Report from Trustee Easton.
Thank you. I think you did a good job, President Uno, of identifying some of the bills pertaining to special districts. I just want to add that there have been some challenges to dismantling the IMLS. And Rhode Island was granted a preliminary injunction to halt the implementation of the executive order, but unfortunately, the DC courts denied a similar preliminary injunction. So the states are kind of mixed. There's been a mixed reaction. The Government Accountability Office, the GAO, filed a report that the executive order was unlawful, but it's still pending as to how that's going to be resolved. So that's all I have for an update. I did forget to mention, if it's okay, about community. I didn't get a chance to comment on or supplement Vice President Butler's, but I did have a chance to go to the reading kickoff program, and President Uno, you were there as well, and I just wanted to commend the staff for putting on a wonderful event, and I loved hearing the girl band. They were terrific, and I loved seeing the staff dancing to the girl band. That was really great to see, and to see the community so engaged, and for this to become an annual tradition. I think the community looks forward to it now.
And I'm glad because I had intended, but there was so much going on this meeting, I forgot to mention that as well.
Yeah.
But I briefly spoke and shared what summer reading programs have meant to me, and the books I discovered during them, and the impact on my life. And so, I appreciated that opportunity to be there and to be able to share that.
I'd like to mention something about government relations. A little bit closer to home, Huntington Beach, June 10th, not
I
so long
heard that.
ago, had a special election, two measures on that special election regarding the library. Measure A asked the voters to repeal the city's proposed 21-person book review committee. 60% of the people who turned out basically wanted to go ahead and repeal that book review committee. And Measure B asked voters to block any future proposals to privatize the library. 60% of the people who turned out basically says, yeah, they don't want the city council to privatize the library. Now, let me just go ahead and make one final comment, an observation. It's nice to say that 60% of the people voted on one side versus the other 40, but the truth is, total vote for the special election was about 50,000 people. Huntington Beach, according to the Registrar of Voters, has 1.9 million voters.
Special elections like
So I think that my point is that I'm glad that the people who were very energized got out there and voted. But this also shows why they like to have these special election in funky off years.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for that. Oh, the announcements have started. I almost got us. Okay, so item 24, items for future agendas.
As mentioned earlier, we'll be reaching out to the Friends for a quarterly report in July. We'll probably have a facilities update, the joint agreement with the Friends, the strategic planning update. There's a CSDA election coming up, so we'll get that. And then, of course, whatever happens to come up.
Any recommendations, any things that people want to see on the agenda? Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second? Oh, I can't second. Sorry. We have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes.